Every blank, every shift, every single pause tells a story. And once you learn to read the language it's written in, you'll find that the people around you are no longer a mystery. Today on the Corporate Buddha, we are exploring the hidden language of human behavior, the science of reading people. And let's be clear from the start, this is not about manipulation. This is about mastery. This isn't about judgment, it's about a kind of empathy, sharpened by a profound awareness. Whether you lead a global team or you're simply leading yourself, this is your journey to unshakable clarity. Think about it. Long before a single word is ever spoken, a person's body has already started the conversation. The way they walk into a room, how they hold their hands, where their eyes land, every single movement broadcasts a message. This is a primal language, one we evolved to speak and understand long before words even existed. And for any leader, for any ambitious individual, learning this language isn't just a soft skill, it is your greatest untapped power. So just how much information are most of us missing out on? Well, the research is stunning. Over 60% of all human communication is nonverbal. Imagine that. It's an ancient code we are all hardwired to understand, yet somewhere along the way we've forgotten how to consciously read it. Learning this code means getting access to the truth that lies just beneath the surface of every single interaction you have. So where do you even begin? It all starts right here, with what experts call a person's baseline. This is their natural state, how they act when they're calm, comfortable, and not feeling any pressure. Think of it as their normal. Once you've got a read on that, any deviation, a sudden spike in how fast they're blinking, arms that cross defensively, becomes a bright, flashing signal. Now, it doesn't automatically mean they're lying, but it absolutely means their internal state has shifted. And that, right there, is your cue to start paying very close attention. All right, let's dive into our first big lesson. It's a foundational one, because you see, before you can ever hope to read a single person accurately, you have to first learn to read the environment that is shaping their behavior. You see, human behavior is never random. It's always a reaction. Picture this. You're in a meeting. The team's on fire, laughing, brainstorming, ideas are just flying. And then the CEO walks in, totally unannounced. What happens? Instantly, the postures stiffen, the laughter dies, the whole energy in the room shifts on a dime. Did everyone suddenly become anxious? Of course not. Their behavior is situational, not personal. A master reader knows that the context, the power dynamics, the social pressure, the emotional temperature of the space is the silent director of every single action. So here's your first mission for this week. The next time you walk into any room, don't just find a seat. I want you to pause. First, scan the power dynamics. Who holds the real authority? Who do people look at when they speak? That tells you where the center of gravity is. Second, feel the emotional temperature. You know what I'm talking about. Is the energy tense, anxious, or is it collaborative and open? You can literally feel it in the air. And only then, third, do you zero in on an individual. Watch how they are responding to that specific environment. This is how you move from just seeing to truly understanding. Now for our second lesson. Okay, so you've read the room. Now we're going to zoom in from the environment to the individual. But here's the thing. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to interpret signals in isolation, and that's a recipe for failure. True insight comes from seeing the pattern. This slide says it all. A single gesture, say crossed arms, that's just one word. It could mean they're defensive, sure, or it could just mean the room is cold. But a cluster of gestures, that is a story. Trying to read body language from one gesture is like trying to understand a novel by reading one random word. It's impossible. Real insight is about pattern recognition. It's about seeing how the face, the posture, and the energy all come together to tell one consistent story. So let's make this real. Start looking for what we call the openness cluster. You'll see it. Uncrossed arms and legs, someone leaning into the conversation, maybe with open palms. This isn't just them being friendly. Their body is physically demonstrating trust and psychological receptivity. Now compare that to the defensive cluster. Crossed arms and legs, leaning away, tense facial muscles. The entire body is literally creating a barrier. When you see a full cluster like that, the message is undeniable. And this is where it gets truly fascinating. This is the moment of truth. What happens when someone says, yeah, I'm completely confident in that decision, but their body is screaming the exact opposite? When what you hear and what you see are in total conflict, you have to understand this one rule. The body rarely lies. This is where you find the raw emotional truth leaking through the cracks of a carefully constructed verbal mask. The key is to look for the raw, unfiltered data of human emotion. And we have a map for this, thanks to the groundbreaking research of Dr. Paul Ekman. He identified these 7 universal emotions, expressions that are hardwired into every single human being on the planet, regardless of culture. They often flash across our faces as what he called micro-expressions, these tiny, involuntary signals that last for less than a second. A flicker of contempt at a compliment, a flash of fear while someone is saying, "I'm fine." They betray our true feelings before our conscious mind can even catch up. Okay, time for your next practical application. First, this week, I want you to start observing the full body, not just the face. And here's a pro tip. Watch the feet. They are often the most honest part of the body because we rarely think to control them. Are they pointing toward you, engaged, or are they pointed toward the door? Second, look for alignment. Do their words, their tone, and their body language all tell the same story? When they don't, that gap is your signal to get curious. And third, try to identify the dominant emotion being broadcast underneath the words. Is it fear, contempt, sadness? Just naming that emotion to yourself is the insight that will stay with you. And that brings us to our final and, frankly, most crucial lesson. Because, look, reading people gives you the data. But data is useless without intelligent action. This is all about turning observation into connection, and that connection into genuine influence. Let that idea sink in for a moment. Your goal is not to become a human lie detector, pointing out flaws and calling people out. That only creates distrust. No, your real job is to become a mirror, one that reflects what you see with empathy and with neutrality. When people feel seen by you without feeling judged by you, they lean in, they open up, they begin to trust you. This leads us to a critical distinction you have to understand: the difference between being right and being effective. You can be 100% right that your colleague is being defensive, but if you call them out on it, you'll only build a higher wall. An effective communicator senses that defensiveness and shifts their own tone, asks a gentler question, and creates psychological safety. That is the path to real influence. So here is your final application for this week. First, practice mirroring energy. If someone is speaking slowly and softly, match that pace instead of bulldozing them with your own high energy. This builds a powerful subconscious rapport. Second, ask reflective questions. Instead of an accusation like, "Why'd you do that?" try a curious, "Help me understand what was going on for you in that moment." This invites truth instead of demanding a defense. And third, my favorite, master the use of strategic silence. When someone shares something vulnerable, don't rush to fill the space. Your silent, attentive presence is often the most powerful and validating response you can possibly give. So let's bring this all together now. These 3 lessons, reading the room, decoding the cluster, and calibrating your response, they aren't just separate tactics. They're integrated stages on a path, the path to becoming a true master reader of human behavior. Because ultimately, this journey isn't about becoming a better analyst of people. It's about becoming a better connector. It's that fundamental shift from merely observing behavior to truly understanding the human being behind it. And that isn't a set of tricks you learn. It's a state of profound awareness, a presence that makes other people feel safe enough to be themselves. And that is the foundation of unshakable trust. Let this be the thought that guides you on your path. The goal is not to leave people feeling exposed or figured out. No way. The true gift, the ultimate skill, is to leave every person you interact with feeling deeply seen, heard, and understood. When you can do that, you don't just win negotiations, you build lifelong allies. This is so much more than a set of communication skills. It's a blueprint for a more connected, a more authentic, and a more impactful life. The real question isn't just what others are communicating to you, but what your presence communicates to the world. Are you present enough to truly see it? This is not just an idea. This is a great gift for the life you were meant to live. Join the conversation in the comments below.